Horse and Friends Radio with Conrad and Raphael.
Hey, I'm Conrad Nodden.
And I'm Raphael Valle. And from Nashville, Tennessee, you're listening to
The Horse and Friends Radio Show. Of the horse, for the horse, and by the horse lovers everywhere. Okay, Raphael, here we are, all the way up to show number 7. Boy, they've really been going good.
Yep.
We are continuing to have a lot of response from the listeners with comments and questions, and we've had artwork, and we've got the drawing for the T-shirt that we're involved with. But right now we have, for this show, Alex Brown, and tell the folks who he is.
Yeah, Alex Brown is, he was fortunate enough to be part of the whole Barbaro episode when he won the Kentucky Derby all the way through the end, all through the tragic experience of which we all still remember, him breaking his leg, Barbaro there at the Preakness, and then all the hopes and support he had across the whole country and the world, maybe even Barbaro, and just as finally giving up to laminitis.
And right now, Raphael, let's show the friends some great products from our very special sponsors.
This is Raphael, and I'm proud to say that we have been using Omega Horseshine on Ivory Pal and all of our horses since 2002. Omega Horseshine is made from stabilized whole ground flaxseed, is high in omega-3, and is all natural with no artificial preservatives. Omega Horseshine gives Ivory Pal a strong immune system, that shiny golden coat, and strong hooves that enables him to be barefoot and maintain his peak performance. Ivory Pal loves Omega Horseshine so much that he is the ambassador for this great product, and his pictures are on the Omega Horseshine bags. Omega Horseshine was named Product of the Year and Best in Nutrition by Horse Journal. Omega Horseshine is available at quality feed and tack stores nationwide. To order online or find a dealer near you, please visit www.omegafields.com. For over 12 years, the Dr. Cook Bitless Bridle has been making horses and riders happy around the world. This is a perfect alternative to using a bit. There are over 100,000 now in use in most all riding disciplines. With Dr. Cook's Bitless Bridle, communication is enhanced, trust is established, performance is improved, and harmony is achieved. Try the Bitless Bridle that started a revolution. For more information, call a toll-free number 866-235-0938 or visit them at www.bitlessbridle.com. That's www.bitlessbridle.com.
When your best horse needs the very best video, when your farm needs to look absolutely fabulous, when your special event needs multi-camera, professional coverage, when you need a theme-based movie, and of course special effects, then you need Malibu Video Productions, now in Nashville. Okay, Raphael, on the line we have Alex Brown. He is an exercise rider for racehorses, an assistant trainer, and the author of this wonderful book called Greatness and Goodness, Barbaro and His Legacy. Welcome, Alex Brown.
Thank you very much for having me.
We're so happy to have you.
Yeah, we're thrilled looking. I've seen the cover of their book, and boy, that's a beautiful picture you have there of Barbaro racing in all his glory. So it's a beautiful book you've done.
Thank you. It was a privilege to be able to write the book with the support of Barbaro's owners, the Jacksons, and while I think the cover picture is spectacular, there's about 164 other pictures in the book, so hopefully some of those are similarly impressive too, because one thing about Barbaro is he was a terrific looking horse.
Yeah, definitely. Well, all those pictures in the book are beautiful and touching too. Some very personal and there's no doubt he was a beautiful racehorse and was in the path of a great career. Which something was interesting because I'm a big Secretariat fan. Also, didn't realize that in the Kentucky Derby, he had the second fastest time since Secretariat there in the last quarter of the race,
Right,
which is incredible.
It's kind of interesting. I was up at the National Museum and Racing Hall of Fame this morning doing a book signing, and we were talking about some of the different derbies and how impressive Barbaro's final quarter was, being the fastest since Secretariat, and how, unlike Secretariat, Barbaro ran the race right on, within 4 lengths of the lead the whole way, and then just blew them away without being asked at all by Edgar Prado. So his performance in the Derby was absolutely, I think, a very, very special performance.
And they are off in the Kentucky Derby, and wasting no time, it is Sinister Minister, and Sharp Humor comes on through in between horses. Toward the outside, Bluegrass Cat is there, keyed entry toward the rail, and here's that cavalry charge bias for the first time, and it's Sinister Minister, and keyed entry comes through on his inside. Sharp Humor runs third as they head for the turn. Showing up is fourth, Barbaro's fifth in between horses. Lawyer Ron is sixth. Seaside Retreat is seventh. And then it's Bluegrass Cat, eighth toward the inside. Brother Derek well out into the track. He's now running along in ninth position. AP Warrior is 10th. Point Determined is 11th toward the inside. Sweet Northern Saint, the favorite, is 12th and moving through in between horses. Bob and John is now 13th. Deputy Glitters is 14th. Private Bob 15th. Steppenwolfer 16th toward the inside. Flashy Bull is 17th. And then it's a Storm Treasure down toward the inside, running in 18th position. Cause to Believe is 19th. Jazzle, the stretch runner, is the last of them all. 46 seconds flat for the opening half mile, and it is indeed a grueling pace here, set by keyed entry. Sinister Minister is second as they approach the half-mile pole going into that far turn. Sweet Northern Saint has picked his way through the pack. He's down on the inside fourth. Barbaro in the clear, poised as they move into the far turn, and he's moving up to be fourth now. Showing up is fifth. Bluegrass Cat is sixth, and he's called on for more run as they round the far turn. There goes Sinister Minister. 3/4 in 10 and 4, and it's Sinister Minister, and here comes Barbaro. The undefeated Barbaro comes up on the outside, and he takes the lead as the field turns for home in the Kentucky Derby. Barbaro turns it on, and his stablemate showing up is second. Bluegrass Cat is third. Brother Derek putting in a late run on the far outside. Steppenwolfer is fifth, and Sweet Northern Saint sixth toward the rail, but they're coming to the finish, and it is all Barbaro in a sublime performance. He runs away from them all, and he has saved something left for the Preakness. Barbaro wins by 7.
That's what got a lot of people going behind him. Alex, give us a little bit of background. You came from the UK in 1987. What brought you here, and how did you actually get into writing books?
Yeah, well, it's a long story, so I'll try to make it short. Back in 87, when I came over here, I actually came over to work for the racehorse trainer at the time, Michael Dickinson, who's now no longer training but focuses on creating synthetic racetracks. That's been his focus now for a number of years. He has the Tapeta racing surface. Along the way, I had an undergraduate degree in England. I had a graduate degree, and I sort of had dual careers working in academia, teaching mostly marketing courses, and some administrative work, and continuing my real passion, which is horses. So galloping horses at Fair Hill, and sort of, in essence, when Barbaro came back to Fair Hill after he won the Derby, I started blogging about his preparations for the Preakness. That turned into a huge blog when people wanted news of during his recovery. And I got to know everyone involved, including the Jacksons, obviously. I took care of Barbaro just a little bit, but got to know the horse a little bit. And ultimately, the Jacksons offered me a contract to write a book. Now, you say the word writing books. This is it. I've written one book. This is my first book, and absolutely I'm certain it's my last book.
Hey, you can't top it, too. Yeah? I mean, you can't ask for a better first book to write and the last book to write. So you have retiring as a writer in the pinnacle of your writing career.
Right. I mean, the point being, I would never argue with them or try to convince anybody that I'm a great writer. I was simply uniquely positioned to write this particular story and had access to everybody else involved. And I just don't think that sort of set of events would transpire again, where I could do justice to a subject matter in somewhat of a unique fashion.
Now, you mentioned Barbaro's owners. That would be Roy and Gretchen Jackson, right?
Yeah.
And I understand they gave you quite a bit of access to Barbaro even toward the end.
Yes, I mean, I would go over to New Bolton Center on a number of occasions and sort of help out a little bit, maybe take him out for a pick of grass, groom him. In fact, the opening chapter of the book is me with Barbaro on Christmas Day in 2006, where I was helping out. And, likely one of the reasons why I was helping out that day was, quite a few people had that day off, and I live locally, so it was quite convenient for me. But I did. I mean, it was a privilege to be sort of brought into the situation a little bit. I mean, I'm a horseman first and foremost, so as a horseman, there's nothing better than being around a great horse.
Now, Alex, I did want to ask you one somewhat important question as it relates to most of our audience that are just true horse lovers and all. When they hear the word racehorse, many think, well, that horse has a wealthy owner, and the owner is primarily interested in getting more money off the horse. But I noticed, and one of the main reasons we wanted to have you on here, is that you picked up the debate after Barbaro died, including the debate about turf safety, horse slaughter, and animal welfare. So you're definitely into that, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Barbaro situation brought to light a number of horse welfare issues, actually dictated by the Jacksons. It was part of their mission to use this platform to try to, create some noise in some important areas. And it was an opportunity for me to learn more about the horse welfare side of our business and potentially to make a difference. And we've done a lot of work on the horse slaughter issue, and I can give you a very, very straightforward argument in terms of why horse slaughter should end. And actually, I address it directly in the book. And the book was a great vehicle for me, I think, to be able to do that. But, I think sometimes we in racing, we get a bad rap. And there's no doubt in horse racing, just like any other sport and industry, there are bad actors. I mean, we have them. Their behavior gets well publicized, as it should, but sadly then all horsemen get demonized and we all get tarred with the same brush, which I think is a little unfair.
Right.
And we're trying to make differences in horse racing. There are good people. We're trying to do some good things. And I'll end this with one of the sort of bigger picture points that I like to make in talks that I give is if you truly demonize horse racing and get rid of horse racing, you're further removing the horse from our culture. We need all of our horse sports. Some of them, like horse racing, and maybe all of them need to improve a little bit from a welfare standpoint, but we absolutely need every horse activity that we have so that our horses can continue to be productive and we can continue to love them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned, horse owners that are just in it for the money and others that really do care about the horse. Well, obviously the Jacksons did care about the horse. I mean, they did everything possible to try to save the life of Barbaro. And I know the friends of Barbaro's, you saved a lot of horses. I think one of the statistics we have is you've saved more than 3,700 horses and raced more than $1.4 million for horse welfare. So it shows you the good that came out of I call it a tragedy.
I'll just address that very quickly because there's a couple of interesting things. One, the first thing that you mentioned is absolutely correct. I mean, the Jacksons, in their efforts to try to save the horse, they went absolutely the most expensive route. And there was some criticism along the way for why they made the decisions they made. I mean, everybody wants to take a pot shot at people in our culture, I guess.
Right.
But absolutely, their only reason for doing what they did was they wanted to save the horse that provided them the greatest experience in our sport, a horse that they loved. And, they've done similar things for other horses that they've had that weren't as successful on the racetrack.
Alex, too, what I was interested in, and I don't know if you can capsulized this as an answer, but what do you think was in Barbaro that captured so much of people's, not only their attention that he was a great racehorse, but there was something much more there, that almost like a superstar charisma that captured the hearts of animal lovers everywhere. What was it?
Well, I wrote a whole chapter on this, so but what I will tell you is I believe, and nobody absolutely knows what it was that sort of captured everybody's imagination, but I truly believe it was a number of factors that sort of conspired together to create this sort of phenomena that we witnessed, which was extraordinarily unusual.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, I'll list them sort of quickly. One is the sort of the qualities of the horse that we perceived in the horse. You know, whether it was because he was a superstar athlete, great athlete, and we love star performers. He was unbeaten, and we love our unbeaten teams. And he just had charisma in bucket loads. We know that. And he was very humble, you know, just like any horse. But we sort of, again, attached this sort of human condition to Barbaro. But, you know, he was the antithesis of most of our sports stars. One minute they're heroes, the next minute they let us down. And Barbaro was never going to do that. And then you combine that then with the quality of people that surrounded Barbaro that made the story more engaging. So that was the Jacksons, it was Dean Richardson, it was Michael Matson, he's a great horseman, and Edgar Pradas. They all had interesting stories that supported Barbaro. And then finally, I would say that we are culturally wired to the horse. The horse has, you know, been, in my book, the most significant piece of technology in the development of human history right up to the Industrial Revolution. And, you know, there's examples of horses over time that were inspirational. Perhaps they weren't quite as inspirational in terms of the use of social media and various other things to get people more engaged and so forth. But certainly horses like Dan Patch, Man of War, Secretariat, you know, the Seabiscuit, they definitely sort of got people fired up with their exploits.
Yeah, you know, Alex, I think, you know, you were so fortunate to be around a great athlete and, you know, very humble horse, too. What was it like being around him? I mean, you got to spend some intimate time, obviously, grooming him, taking him out for walks.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was, again, as a horseman, I would say right up front, it was a privilege, right? You know,
absolutely.
If we work with horses all our lives and we get a chance to be around a horse of that caliber, I mean, you're going to treasure those times. Now, he definitely had the presence of a superstar. Again, I don't know if we're putting that on him, as humans we like to do that, but you felt an aura when you were around him. Now, he was a 3-year-old colt, so I'm not going to tell you that he was absolutely the softest, easiest, kindest horse to handle. I mean, you had to respect him.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
But when you give him that respect, he was great to be around. And, you know, the interesting thing was, and I think I try to capture this again as I talk about my experiences with him in the book. When you're in the stall with him, you really had to be careful, just like you would with any 3-year-old colt. And he's by Dynaformer, who has a dodgy reputation for biting fingers off grooms and stuff. So, you know, I mean, you really had to respect him, and I had my own tricks for doing that I talk about in the book. But when you took him outside to graze, he dropped his head on the ground, and I swear you could have dropped a bomb in the next paddock and he wouldn't have picked his head off. He was just so happy and content when he was out there doing what he really enjoyed doing that, yeah, he just seemed like a bit of a different horse. But it was really some great experiences. I mean, I got to graze him, but I was with him when other people were there too, and being with Barbaro with the Jacksons and various other scenarios. So it was a lot of fun, and I couldn't have done enough for the horse if I'd have had the chance. I mean, it was great.
So actually, Alex, he was healing from his shattered leg, if I understand that right, and then he got laminitis, right?
Yeah. I mean, sadly, and again, I was talking about this with someone this morning. You know, the breaking the leg was quite complicated. I mean, you had fractures in the cannon bone, the sesamoid, and the past, and
they're off. Barbaro came away rather cleanly, and like now, and Garrett Gomez is intent on that lead. He sends him right from the beginning. And Sweet Northern Saint is going to run with him. Bernardini is away third. On the outside, Diabolical is fourth. Barbaro, I believe he's being pulled up. Barbaro's being pulled up. An astonishing development here. Barbaro's being pulled up by Edgar Prado. He is out of the race and out of the Triple Crown. He appears to have injured his right rear leg.
so it certainly wasn't a trivial surgery, and you needed the likes of Dean Richardson to make it successful. But they knew right from the get-go that the biggest risk they faced in the long run was whether Barbaro would get laminitis. So, they fixed a broken leg, but sadly, laminitis, which is a wicked and excruciatingly painful disease, took his life.
I remember when it happened. I mean, I don't even remember the race. All I remember was thinking about Barbaro and seeing Edgar Prado pulling him up, and boy, I think both my wife and I just kind of, we both were in tears because we love horses too, and there was so much hope in the horse, and I don't think I'll ever forget that moment. And we followed him into the blogs and hoping for him, and I remember he just kind of took the bad turn of events suddenly, and had to put him down.
Yeah, I'll tell you though, and then before you continue, obviously I have a chapter in the book about the Preakness, just focusing on the day. And no doubt this will be the least read chapter in the book because, you can avoid it, and some people will choose to do that. But I will say that it might actually be the strongest chapter because what it shows is the human emotion and the reaction to the situation. And I interviewed a lot of people and got their first-hand accounts of the sort of the atmosphere and so on and so forth. But not only that, how people reacted that were involved with the horse, and how everybody had one singular goal in mind, and to give this horse the best chance to survive, and how they all worked together and what they did and so forth. It's actually a pretty interesting testament to the quality of the human spirit, I think.
Excellent point, Alex. I was just going to ask, what do you hope readers will learn from this book?
Probably 3 or 4 things. One is, I hope they get a true sense of who Barbaro was, in terms of, was he a great racehorse or wasn't he a great racehorse? And I don't definitively answer that question, but I throw out all the variables and, again, use a lot of quotes from lots of different people so that a reader can, come to their own conclusion. And, obviously I would argue that he was, but, there are others that have some other opinions. His race record was short, and that's really the only knock on him, but obviously. So one is just get a better sense of Barbaro. Secondly, I would really like to, you talked about Barbaro lost his life to laminitis. I have, again, a whole chapter on this disease, and I truly hope that at some point in the future, we truly do learn the root causes of this disease.
Yeah.
And certainly we're not going to learn that from my book because I'm not a scientist. But I hope what I am able to do in the book is give us hope that we are moving in the right direction and sort of uncover and talk in some layman terms really what is going on with this disease. Thirdly, I think, how important the horse has been to our human history, I do think that's an important thing for us to remember because the horses just keep getting continually further removed from our culture. In essence, we don't need them anymore, and that's a shame. And, as a function of that, our treatment of horses sometimes is absolutely not appropriate. And I have I have a chapter sort of somewhat dedicated to the horse welfare issues. As you mentioned at the beginning, I'm a pretty strong advocate. Well, I am an advocate for ending horse slaughter, and I make it pretty clear, the black and white argument as to why this practice needs to be ended. So those are probably some of the major takeaways, but I just hope they enjoy a book about a great horse.
I'm sure they will. It's a great book. Where can people learn more about you and the book, and then where can they buy the book?
Well, they can certainly go to my website. It's alexbrownracing.com. There should be all sorts of information about the book there. If not, then I'm not a very good marketer.
No, it's there. Very good information.
Right? So, and obviously, and the book's available on Amazon.com. So, supporting the book would be terrific. I'll tell you, the feedback on the book has been overwhelmingly good, which is very flattering to me, because I will again admit that writing is not my absolute strength, but the feedback has been terrific. So I'm very grateful for that and any support for the book.
Alex, we're grateful for you too, that you've been able to capture, Barbaro to share with the readers and our listeners, and also for other good causes.
And I just end by saying I'm very grateful for all the people that supported the book directly, whether it was one of the 50-some photographers, one of the 120 people I interviewed, and a whole boatload of other people that I always forget to mention. But I mean, whilst my name's on the book, the illustrator Lyndon Godso illustrated the book for nothing. Lots of people put in a lot of time and effort in this book, and I haven't paid them at all. And it's a good job they're not rushing for the money, because I'm still eating beans on toast trying to survive. But I mean, literally, I think it's a testament to the subject matter. People wanted to contribute to a document that hopefully will be around for generations to come, about a horse that we all do admire.
Well, we're so happy that you actually wrote about Barbaro. The listeners are going to be happy to learn more about it. You captured the spirit of it all, someone who was right next there, right to the end, helping him walk in the pasture, grazing him, petting him. That means a lot, and it's a lot different than someone just writing from afar. You were there, and we appreciate it. Alex, thank you so much for being on the Horse and Friends radio show today. I know our listeners are going to really enjoy this show.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much, Alex, and also for all the good causes you've taken up with the laminitis and the turf and the animal welfare. So we really appreciate it and support you in your work.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on, and thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm truly grateful.
Well, thank you, Alex.
Okay, take care, guys.
Thanks again.
Okay, and drive carefully.
Yeah, I will.
During the storm. Thanks again, Alex. It was great having you.
Okay.
Talk later.
Yeah, brilliant. Cheers. Bye.
Stepping out into the light, my whole life's led me to this moment. I lay it all out on the line. Time to shine, time to rock and roll. I'm feeling a million butterflies. Oh, but I've never been so ready. Watch me when I hit my stride. Speed of light, yeah, I'm strong and steady.
Boy, that was a great interview with Alex Brown, wasn't it?
Yeah, very good guy. You could tell that he has a tremendous amount and was so touched by Barbaro and all the people around him. You can see how he gave the credit to everybody in the book. And, wow, what a great project that everybody came together and donated their time into putting that book so they could tell, Barbaro's story that touched us in so many ways.
You know what I really appreciated too about the book? It wasn't just a person's perception of Barbaro, but this was an individual who exercises racehorses, who knows the owners of Barbaro, who knows the trainer, who was really, in the end, walking Barbaro out in the pasture to graze and everything, spending time with the horse. He really got the right feel of everything about the horse. And he was able to put that into the book, along with all the great photos and all the great write-ups. So that was really made it really interesting.
Oh, absolutely. He's not just capturing the book about Barbaro the super horse, but just Barbaro the horse, who he was and what he stood for and what he has done and how he touched his life and so many of the people's life around him.
We are continuing to have a lot of response from the listeners with comments and questions, and we've had artwork. Hey, and what's this piece by Judy McClellan? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, Judy's from, I believe she's from Australia. She's an artist, and she made actually a white gold pendant of Ivory Pal. And actually, you could find her on Facebook, and I think she has them for sale. But yeah, very honored too that she did that, and that's a pretty neat image and good capture of Ivory Pal.
Very nice. Trish Ward.
Yeah, Trish Ward is from works for Coastal Cowgirl, and she emailed me. I think it was last November, and she said, "Hey, listen, can we get some Ivory Pal hair, from his tail? I'll make it into a bracelet, and we could raffle it to one of your fans." And she came up with that idea, and actually, I think it was Debbie Tinklemore that won that original and one and only bracelet made of Ivory Pal's tail hair.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, braided like that and all.
Yeah, she did a beautiful job, and she's also a very good artist. And you could find her on the internet if you want one done for your horse too. Trish Ward or Coastal Cowgirl.
And then we've got looks like one more here by Danielle Perry.
Yeah, Danielle is also a very talented and professional artist.
Very
and
nice.
She took one of those pictures. Actually, that's the one that you'll find on Ivory Pal's T-shirts. That image that Sherry Prill took, and she made a beautiful portrait. I mean, you could tell she really captured him well, and she's actually has made some prints out of it and some greeting cards, and they come in different sizes. So if you're interested and want to support Danielle, you can get these prints on her website, www.danielleperryfineart.com.
Excellent. And also, we've been doing the like button drawing. And this has been kind of fun. People have been going to NashvilleNewsZine.com, clicking on the logo, going to our main page there for the Horse and Friends radio show, scrolling down below our photo there, and there's a like button. And that's how they enter. It's very simple to enter the drawing. And what will they get again?
They'll get a Ivory Pal T-shirt that has him running on the surf, and it's titled, the T-shirt has an Ivory Pal and the Golden Pegasus, and you also get a personally autographed picture of Ivory Pal, as we mentioned in previous chat.
Not
mine. No, it's his little. Actually, it's a little hoof because we took it and made an imprint and downsized it, and it's an actual rubber stamp. That's his actual hoof. So yes, that is Ivory Pal's signature, not mine.
And he authorized it, and it's official, isn't it?
Absolutely, he approved it, and he's happy with it.
So I believe we're on winner number 3.
That's correct.
And we've got 2 more after this one. But who is winner number 3?
It is Karen Ogburn.
Yay, Karen. All right.
Yeah, make sure you want to enter a chance to win an Ivory Pal T-shirt and a personally autographed picture. Make sure you visit our website, NashvilleNewsZine.com, and hit the like button, and that will enter you for the drawing.
And also I want to mention, too, because this is something that's coming up, we're encouraging folks to send in a photo of their horse. And there's a button on our main page there to send in the photo and the name of the horse. Go ahead and do that, because what are we going to synchronize that with? We've got a
poem. A friend of ours sent it. Actually, her name is Jenny Esther Poet, and she shared it with us. It's a great, touching poem. I think that will touch the heart and the soul of any horse lover. And so we want to make this poem for you, our fans and listeners and supporters. And that's why, if you would be kind enough to send a picture of your horse, whether past, present, or a horse that just touched your heart at one time in your life.
Now, for our next show, we've got a singer, songwriter, actor who was actually in The Horse Whisperer.
Yeah.
And his name is Don Edwards. And this should be really interesting.
Oh, yeah. I think anybody that loved horses saw that Horse Whisperer movie. I think it was probably one of the first movies to come out that touched about natural horsemanship to the mainstream media or general public. And then also his music was featured in it.
Yes, it was. Yeah, very, very much so. I think, in fact, you were about 5 years old when that movie came out.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's right.
But so the folks need to really be looking forward to that, because here is a true cowboy western singer, songwriter, actor. We're going to play some of his music and everything. Something really to look forward to. So.
Absolutely.
So there it is, another show, and keep listening, keep supporting it, because really this isn't just for us. This is for all the horse lovers out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, folks, thanks for tuning in, as they say, and be sure to be watching for our next episode coming soon.
Until then, happy trails, everybody.
Hey, Raphael, I bet you can't do this.